I'm Chase Sr., and here's what's coming up on today's San Francisco 49ers Report. Appreciate all of you for tuning in and supporting the show. Niners fans get some surprising news. Did San Francisco sign a starting safety? And Pro Football Focus released their head coaching rankings going into the 2025 season. I think PFF disrespected Kyle Shanahan. Before we dive in, I want to say thank you to the faithful, to the Niner gang, and the Niner Empire. Yesterday, we surpassed 163,000 subscribers. If you want Niners coverage coming your way every single day here on YouTube, lock us in and subscribe today. Let's begin with this. Is the Niners offensive line going into 2025 a borderline top 10 unit? According to Pro Football Focus, it is. And some people might be looking to their left and right saying, what? Am I dreaming? What is happening here? Here is the list that PFF put out. Philadelphia Eagles have the number one offensive line in football going into this year. No surprises there. They are a mauling bully ball unit. The Denver Broncos, what a fast rise for that offensive line unit, coming in at number 2. Buffalo Bills, good offensive line in front of Josh Allen at number 3. The Chicago Bears, after they brought in multiple starters this offseason under Ben Johnson, a top 5 unit. Indianapolis Colts, they don't have a quarterback, but they could protect whatever quarterback is back there. It looks to be Daniel Jones. They check in at number 5. And then 6 through 10, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Minnesota Vikings, Atlanta Falcons, New York Jets, Los Angeles Chargers. I never said the Niners were a top 10 unit. I said borderline top 10 unit because here they are. 11 through 15, you have the Panthers, the 49ers, Lions, Packers, and Rams. I'm actually very surprised that the Lions have fallen all the way to 13 because last year it was the Eagles and the Lions neck and neck trying to get that crown as the best offensive line unit in the National Football League. So when you look at that and you think about the porous offensive line play that we have been subjected to the last couple of years, a lot of you probably surprised. I am as well. Here's what PFF had to say as far as its reasoning. Trent Williams remains the leader of San Francisco's line, but the soon-to-be 37-year-old won't be able to do so forever. For the first time in 5 years, he ranked outside the top 2 offensive tackles in PFF overall grade at 85.6 this past year. Williams also missed significant time due to injury. The Niners group is still above average, especially considering Dominick Puni's emergence. The Kansas product ranked 6th among all guards with an 80.5 Pro Football Focus overall grade as a rookie. And PFF kind of hinted at it there, or at least I'm going to carry what they started. It seems as though Trent Williams and Dominick Puni are really carrying the weight for the rest of the Niners offensive line, which is very, very average in my opinion. Now, the Niners offensive line PFF grades last year weren't horrific, and that's probably why the Niners are on the cusp of being a top 10 team. I'm just surprised that they're this high. I would more so have them in that 15 to 17 range. Now, Trent Williams, even though he's older, is still one of the most dominant overall players in football, especially at that offensive tackle position. In a bad year last year, he's still graded out very well, 85.6. That was 7th among offensive tackles. Ben Bartch earned a 74.8 grade, not ranked as far as all of the players at his position because he didn't play enough snaps. Him, Spencer Burford, and Connor Colby are going to compete for that left guard spot. That's a question mark. Center, to me, is a big question mark. Jake Brendel is a pretty good run blocker, but he gets bulldozed way too often, doesn't have a strong enough anchor, and last year he committed a bunch of penalties. 65 grade there, 17th, middle of the road as far as starting centers go. Puni was a stud. Colton McCivitz got better year over year, but I continue to think that he's just serviceable and an okay player. But after all, the Niners aren't paying him all that much. He ranked 34th at that right tackle spot. I will say this, though. If the Niners offensive line can be a borderline top 10 unit, if they can continue to hover around this 10 to 12 range, great news for San Francisco. This is part of the reason why I've been so outspoken about this Niners offensive line for years now. It's cost them in big games. They've been exposed against some of the top defensive lines in football. It's lost them very critical games. But can you imagine if the Niners were dominant up front, if they invested more resources there, instead of 2/5 of the offensive line being very good to elite? What if like 3/5, 4/5 of the offensive line was upper tier? Paired with Kyle Shanahan's scheme, his play calling, play designs, the success that the Niners have had running the football with the personnel on this team. Can you imagine how dominant San Francisco can be when you have a mauling offensive line? You can win against a variety of opponents with a plethora of different styles in any weather. And sometimes if your offense isn't clicking, you can just win games at the point of attack if you can win at the line of scrimmage. That's why it annoys me so much that Kyle Shanahan, a former receiver, and John Lynch, a safety, don't value the offensive line more. Look at Philadelphia last year. That offense was pretty up and down. Sometimes that pass game was mundane. Sometimes teams knew they were going to run it with Saquon Barkley. Didn't matter because they would run right through you and right over you. In Kyle Shanahan's run scheme with the dominant offensive line, they could be incredible. So I think this run game will be top tier regardless because it always is, just given the scheme. I just wish that they prioritize getting better players at that offensive line because Jake Brendel, Ben Bartch, and Colton McCivitz, to me, are simply not good enough. Now, I do hope that going into 2025 with this offensive line, Kyle Shanahan will make some tweaks to his protections. That is something that I think he needs to adapt and evolve with as a head coach. It's hurt him, especially the last couple of years as teams have caught up to some of the telltale signs that they see from this offensive line because of those protection issues being predictable. I'll also add that Brock Purdy's mobility bails the Niners' offensive line out a lot, and that's why last year the Niners gave up 9 fewer sacks than the Super Bowl winning Eagles because Brock Purdy's mobility is so underrated. This ranking is a little bit flawed too because it hinges on Trent Williams staying healthy. And I'm just not sure how this offensive line can get better and be in that elite tier with only 2 good offensive linemen. But hopefully this stands, and hopefully San Francisco can be in that 12 range. Because if they are, in this offense, with these playmakers, with the guy who's running the scheme, calling the scheme, you just get average offensive line play, and you're going to be one of the higher ranking teams on the offensive side of the football among the 32 teams in the NFL. Still to come here on today's 49ers Report. Did the Niners sign a starting safety who not many people are talking about? And then lastly, Pro Football Focus disrespected Kyle Shanahan, in my opinion, with their head coaching rankings. Let's give a shout out to our sponsor, our wonderful friends at Chubby's. Summer is here. Get geared up with some of the best summer gear, thanks to our friends at Chubby's. And if you use our code CHAT, you get 20% off your purchase. Skies out, thighs out. Now that the warm weather is here, we should all be looking for comfy, casual, built-for-life clothing. And with Chubby's, we get that. I absolutely love their original stretch shorts. They can just live on your legs. Available in long, short, waist short. They come with the relaxed fit, elastic waistband, no fuss design. These are the kinds of shorts you'll forget you're wearing until you get an onslaught of high fives and compliments. You can pair those shorts with the Chubby's Performance Polo, and you're good to go. I'm wearing the original stretch shorts right now. They are so comfortable and breathable as well. This polo, though, you can wear it on the golf course. You can wear it out for a brunch, a dinner, backyard party, or if you accidentally crash a wedding during wedding season. With a structured collar that stays sharp, 4-way stretch for comfort, and breathable, moisture-wicking fabric, this polo will keep you cool and looking pulled together. And also, you can't forget about their classic lined swim trunks. Whether you're suiting up for cannonballs, cookouts, or casual Fridays, hitting up the golf course, going out to a nice dinner with the shorty, Chubby's has you covered. For a limited time, Chubby's is giving our listeners 20% off your order using our code chat at chubbyshorts.com/chat. That's code chat at chubbyshorts.com/chat. Support our show and let them know that the 49ers Report Chat Sports Chase Sr. sent you. Summer's here. Dress like it in Chubbies. So did the 49ers sign a starter in safety Jason Pinnock, who was last playing with the New York Giants? He had a very good spring, turned a lot of heads during OTAs and minicamp, and looking ahead to training camp, he has an opportunity to lock down a starting role under Robert Saleh at a very affordable price. He just did a podcast with Matt Mayoko of NBC Sports Bay Area. I think that pod came out on Monday, July 7th. And here's what Pinnock had to say to Mayoko. Hopefully, I'm a day one starter. I think that's what everybody hopes to do. That's what I hope to do. But not only that, I look at myself as an all-pro type of guy. That's what I came here to do. That's what I came to show the league. I wanted to go somewhere comfortable. I'm comfortable in this system. I switched positions rookie year, and I've seen 3 different coordinators since then. I just wanted some continuity. I have a great relationship with Robert Saleh, knew his system, loved his system, and I wanted to get back. I love the confidence that Pinnock has in himself, and you can see that he just wants some scheme continuity. When you are changing schemes every single year, it's hard for you to get comfortable. Can you imagine working somewhere and your boss changes in 3 consecutive years? Not a lot of continuity there, and it's not going to lead to the best results. As for Pinnock's results, he's a very interesting player. He's long, he's tall, he's a good athlete, graded out very well in the pre-draft process coming out of Pitt, and he plays really good football when he's moving downhill. For instance, last year in 2024, he rushed the passer 18 times. He logged 7 pressures, 3 sacks, and a pass rush grade of 92.3. That grade was number 1 among safeties. Now, the passer rating when targeted was one of the lowest marks among safeties in the NFL, but that's not his specialty. And in the last 3 years, he has been around the ball as a maven who just makes plays. 6.5 sacks the last 3 years, 12 TFLs, 10 PBUs. And you see some of that positional versatility benefiting him. I think he's better as a safety than he is as a corner. But his experience playing corner allows him to be comfortable playing around the line of scrimmage. He was drafted in the 5th round out of Pitt by the New York Jets in 2021. And there was a clip of Robert Saleh hyping him up, saying that he really liked him as a player. But when it came down to roster cutdown day, Pinnock didn't make the team. He then went to the New York Giants, one of those difficult roster decisions that a lot of teams face when it comes down to trimming that roster from 90 players down to 53. He goes to the Giants, and I thought he played some pretty good ball. And he does have an opportunity to start here. Malik Mustafa had that ACL surgery this offseason. Jair Brown is expected to be ready for the start of training camp on July 22nd. He had an ankle cleanup procedure, but he struggled last year. And so week 1, I would guess this is your starting safety tandem, Jason Pinnock, Jair Brown. Jair Brown does have to get better from last year's up and down season, but I think he has a ton of ability. But Jason Pinnock, a name to remember as we look ahead to training camp, the preseason, and perhaps the regular season as a player who could end up having a big impact for this team after the Niners pretty much paid him nothing. We round out with this. PFF ranked their top 10 returning NFL head coaches entering 2025. Kyle Shanahan, way too low on this list. Now, I have no problems with Andy Reid being number 1. Sean Payton, though, at number 2. What have you done for me lately? What he did last year with Bo Nix, making the playoffs and ending the Broncos' playoff drought was nice, but he shouldn't be number 2. I also have no issues with Sean McVay being number 3. Like Kyle Shanahan, he's an offensive wizard, but unlike Shanahan, he won a Super Bowl. John Harbaugh at 4? He's a top 10 coach in my opinion, but at number 4? The last time the Ravens made a deep playoff run and won a Super Bowl was 2012. That was so long ago at this point. Mike Tomlin hasn't won a playoff game since 2016. Jim Harbaugh should not be ahead of Kyle Shanahan. He just came back to the NFL. And for those of you trying to dog Shanahan, Great play caller, great play designer, one of the top offensive minds in football. Everybody wants to say he chokes in big games. How about going on the road and beating the Dallas Cowboys in 2021? Then beating the number 1 seeded Green Bay Packers in round 2. Those are 2 huge playoff games on the road. I mean, we're talking about a coach who in the last 6 years has been to the NFC Championship game 4 times, who's been to the Super Bowl twice. You don't do that if you're a bad coach. And those recent results are better than Jim Harbaugh, John Harbaugh, and Mike Tomlin. So I think that Shanahan should be higher on this list. Here's what PFF said. Shanahan is still one of the game's greatest offensive minds and best head coaches. After appearing in their second Super Bowl in 5 years in 2023, the Niners took a big step back last year. However, they started 5-4 before losing 7 of their final 8 games. Those shortcomings came about more due to injuries to star players and a lack of run defense than anything within Shanahan's control. Despite their difficulties, Shanahan's 49ers still ranked 9th in PFF grade last year, the second highest mark by any team with a losing record. Offensively, San Francisco still notched the 5th best PFF grade in the league, despite injuries to superstars Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk, and Trent Williams. Shanahan's play calling and work to develop Brock Purdy are the biggest factors in that success. If they are healthy, the Niners are a legitimate bounce-back candidate this year. I think that they are going to bounce back as a team. I think Kyle Shanahan is going to bounce back as a head coach. Now, yes, I said earlier, he's won a lot of big games. He's lost some big games as well. He is this era's Andy Reid when Andy Reid was with the Eagles. Great offensive mind, had a lot of success, couldn't win that big game. It evaded him. Now Reid has 3 rings. I think Shanahan is going to win a ring with San Francisco before it's all said and done. Him being able to make do with offensive numbers that we just talked about, despite all of the injuries and lack of continuity on offense, goes to show you he still has it. Can he do a better job than he did last year? No doubt about it, and I think he will. But he should be higher on that list. Kyle Shanahan, fill in the blank for me, is a top blank coach in the NFL. For me, he's top 5. You let me know your thoughts on that, and we'll catch you soon here on the program. Thanks so much for watching.